Hold up. Wait a minute. Bruh. Did you hit the like button? Drop some rabbits in the chat. Let's go.
Hit that like. Hit that like. Welcome to the chat. Let's chit chat. Hit chat. Hit that like. Hit that like. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. If you want the tea, come see me. Rabbit hole is the place to be for real news, not fake news. Celebrity news, breaking news around the clock. Real talk, best on the block. I rock, I rock, I rock, I rock. Real talk, best on the block. I rock, I rock. Hit that like, hit that like. Welcome to the chat. Let's chit chat, big chat. Hit that like, hit that like. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop some drop 'em, drop 'em, drop 'em, drop 'em. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop 'em, drop 'em, drop 'em, drop 'em. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. True crime is my specialty. Exposing the industry. Unsolved mysteries. Sticking to reality. Fair use commentary. Talking about cults. Trying to get results. Exploring hopes. Exploring. Researching. Debunking. Investigating. Being nosy. Super nosy. Being messy. Being shady. Rabbit hole news. That's me. The chick with ADHD. Unmedicated. But quite educated. Hit that like. Hit that like. Welcome to the chat. Let's chit chat. Hit chat. Hit that like. Hit that like. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Hit that like. Hit that like. Let's go. Let's go. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show.
Hi, everybody. Ooh, why am I so small? Shout out to everybody in the chat. My goodness. Welcome, welcome. Hey, everybody. Welcome. Good morning. Good afternoon. Thank you guys so much for being patient with me. I started this morning like running around. Thank God I got some sleep last night because I told y'all yesterday was just a crazy day. Had to go get up early and get the middle child's birthday present. Today, the middle child is older. He's older. Shout out to the middle child. So he's very excited about today. He went to school, so that's good. Yeah, so we have to get the day going. Thank you. Yesterday was quite an eventful day, right? And so I'm still kind of like trying to wrap my head around all the stuff that was revealed in the documents. I didn't even get to finish everything yesterday. So I hope that I can go back and maybe like slow down a little bit and just review certain things that we might have missed in the documents. Of course, for those that are like, what are you talking about? Oh, let me move this out of the way. We're talking about the Celeste Rivas Hernandez case, the D4VD case. Yesterday when I was reviewing the Rolling Stone article and then the court documents, it was like a flood of like, oh my God, remember when we talked about this? Oh my God, remember when, and ... Because what I realized yesterday is that the internet, although the internet is crazy and it can do the most, it literally did something that it like, I don't know, I guess had pieced some things that we probably had somewhat known. Oh my God, why is my light like that? Sorry, y'all, I'm having some issues with lighting. Okay, there we go. Damn, I went bright. Thank you. It was. So I will not only, 4 hours of sleep, hospital visit, but then reading that, I was like, oh my God, I was not ready for that. But I'm glad that I did some of it because I feel like it kind of prepared me for today and just where my thoughts were at. One of the questions, and it's still a question that I have, and we're going to review them again. We'll review the documents again. One of the questions that I had is, when this supposed breakup happened, right? Ooh, here you go. That's what I'm saying, First Liberties. When this supposed breakup happened, guys, where was Celeste when all of this happened? Like, and somebody also asked me the same question. You were not shocked at all? Well, like, first of all, First Liberties was here. Flojo was here when we were reading the medical report, right? And the blue tarp, I mean, immediately the pool, I was like, oh my God. She went home. So after the breakup, she went home. Was she home the whole time? Was she only home some of the time? Because no, I get that, but there was a breakup with your BJ. Really? So BJ has to say, I haven't even watched her video. Oh, by the way, shout out to BJ because she sent a bunch of you guys over here. Shout out to BJ. Shout out to our boo BJ. Shout out to her. Thank you. Because I went in here to say, hey guys, I'm getting my coffee, and she had sent people over here. Thank you, BJ. I appreciate it. She was at home. Well, okay, let's scale back a little bit, okay? Let's go back to the dispatch reports, right? Y'all remember that timeline? Strategic pulled it. It was on Reddit. Let's go back to those dispatch reports, okay? Because those dispatch reports, when they were calling 911, was that around the time that she was supposedly home too? So would it be fair to say that she was she ever not called? Like, was she ever called in as somebody who returned, or was she always a runaway? I was so confused by this information. And she was still a runaway when she left her parents' house, right? Yeah, right. Like it reads as if she was picked up from her parents' home with the Uber. I get that. I get that. But this is the question that I'm asking. When the DA is saying that there was a supposed breakup, okay? Go to that time frame and then match that with the dispatch. Was there ever a time she returned home? And if so, was there ever a time she was not a runaway? Because when she left her house, was she called in as a runaway then? Or was she not a runaway when she was at home? And if she was a runaway, because they were like, well, she didn't come back. She went with David. She didn't come back. We're just going to call her in as a runaway. Well, that would make sense why she stayed as a runaway. We don't have a really good, concise timeline of when she was actually home, other than what the DA said. Was she a runaway then? Or was she a runaway when she didn't return home? They're thinking she ran away. Do you guys see where I'm going at with this? Because I'm trying to figure out the timeline, who all had connections and communication with her around that time. Also, in the preventative aspect too, it was never said that she was back home. I thought he sent an Uber to pick her up at her parents' house. That's what I thought the report said, but I could be wrong. We can go back to it, okay? Because it literally deserves a lot of dissecting, a lot of pulling apart. And I'm sure you guys have heard so many, I'm sure everybody's heard an interpretation of it. But I want us to hear, now that I've had a couple hours of sleep, I feel like I'm going to be able to digest this a little bit different. You said, DP with Perkies, thank you so much for this super sticker. Because she was back and forth and the department started the SA investigation, they never escalated missing person to SA case and also never closed the case. She was a back and forth. I have never heard, let me tell you something, having dealt with runaways, I have never heard of a situation, maybe it has happened, I don't know, but I've never seen one, of a situation where a kid that's chronically running away, the police would advise them not to, if they return home, the police would advise them not to inform them that they've returned, even if it's for 20 minutes. Y'all do, there are kids that come home for 20 minutes and then they run away again and then they have to be called again. It is a pain in the ass, but it does happen. So that's what I'm saying. It's I'm having a hard time with this. Maybe it's a process thing, because I think, and it really does make a difference overall, intervention wise. If there are programs out there where if a kid is a chronic runaway, there are programs out there that are kind of law enforcement friendly. They'll go out there and they'll try to, put in some type of a service or something so that the kid can, so that the youth can stay put in one place, right? They don't have to kind of come and go. They can stay home in one place. So I have to wonder, was there ever a time where, which I feel like is a yes, she was running away. She would come back home for long periods of time and she was never called back in. To me, that sounds like that might be a case. But in this situation, The last time she was seen alive, was she still considered a runaway, or was she a runaway after she didn't return home from David's? And who knew she was going to David? Did anybody in the family? Did anybody in the family say, "Hey, are you going to get picked up by this? Uber's coming to pick her up"? Anybody? That's what happens, Stephanie, unfortunately. And by the way, thank you so much for the super sticker. I really appreciate it. Thank you, DP. Thank you. So it's just some questions that I have, and this does happen. That's why I have to ask, because this happens a lot more often sometimes, and it's not like it's a tiresome system when you deal with runaways and they run away and they come back and they run away, and at some point parents are like, well, fuck it, I'm give up. I'm for what? Why am I going back and forth for what? For why? It does happen, but and not excusing any of it. Hey, Belen. You said she was probably going back and forth, David, after they broke up. Now, and I love that you said this, because I think this is an important thing. Um, I hate to say that it's kids break up all the time, high school relationships, because even adults have like the most immature, like even adults can have the most immature relationships. You know what I mean? Like, depending on, everybody goes through, whatever. We broke up, we back together, we broke up, it gets more complicated when there's children involved, like for real. But, there are relationships out there that they break up and get together. And I don't even want to call this that, because I don't consider that, but maybe Celeste did, right? Because she like asked the DSA, and she thought she was going to spend the rest of her life with this guy or something. Baby Bunny comes in and she's like, she's still under the weather. All right. You said, yeah, like toxic relationships. I would agree. We break up 1 minute, we good, and then we break up. But, I hate putting that kind of a label. I'm only doing it because the DA put it here, right? Where, people kind of go back and forth. And some people think, well, that's just kind of like a high school relationship. No, it's not. Adults engage in that too. I've seen it way too many times. Hold on, girl. Give me 1 second. Let me make sure this is stuck. Okay. I got you, girl. Can I have it? Okay. She got a Rice Krispie. What is it? A Rice Krispie treat bar. And she don't want me to take it. She said, no, she's not going to share with me. Anyways. Yeah. So I think someone posted the text after her brother saying that. Really? Okay. Interesting. And thank you, Behind Blue Eyes. Thanks for advocating for this child. Much love. No, thank you. Appreciate it. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button. Thank you, Blue Eyes. Thank you. Thank you, Kim. You said, oh, Rabbit, a lot of adults in toxic relationship say it, Kelly J. That's what I'm saying. It's like this toxic relationship is a real thing, right? It's not, we try to minimize how much toxicity can affect us, but hey, to each his own. People choose whatever, nobody's perfect. Nobody's relationship is perfect. Okay. That being said, though, I thought it was interesting that this was put in there, because I was like, all right, so in my opinion, because she's 13 and a 13-year-old, 12-year-old, especially 13, right? She is going through some severe, life altering decisions at that time, right? Things that were going to impact her for the rest of her life dealing with this situation. Okay. Unfortunately, her life was cut short, right, by this guy. And he'll have his day in court and whatever the trial. But I do wonder, there's no way, in my opinion, that she kept all of this to herself. So I do wonder about those witnesses from the grand jury. I do wonder who she disclosed things to. I wonder about this $1,000 friend here, because guess what? What did the teacher say? If he was willing to give the friend $1,000 with the phone to give it to Celeste, I'm sure he was paying off people. I'm sure he was doing all kinds of things. He was worried about his career. And that, my friends, would be motive to get rid of anybody who was going to speak out against you. Absolutely. She was a child and she was groomed. Absolutely. It wasn't enough that her parents intervened. He went out there and he got, a friend to give her a phone so that they could stay connected, right? The parents, even this document highlights the parents taking her phone, trying to apply rules. And here's this celebrity, right, who has access to resources, who was able to give $1,000 to a kid to give Celeste a phone, $1,000. And then when she became a liability to him, he discarded her. He thought that he could erase her from the internet. He thought he could erase her from the Discord, from the videos, to go as far as to cut off her finger that had his name on it, right? To go as far as to do what he did to her body, okay? He thought this was it. And you know what, guys? Honestly, and I've said it before, he probably could have gotten away with this had he not left Celeste in that Tesla. I really do think so. I really do think so. Because what? She's a runaway. She's missing. Nobody's looking for her, right? She went as far as to go to Vegas, out of state. They found evidence, right? Oh, hold up. Give me 1 second. Yeah, girl, I got you. This girl, she's coming in. Here, mama. Okay, you don't want it? Okay. So picky. Well, if you want it, it's right here, okay? Anyways, it fell. It's federal now, you think? I don't know. They said London, but are we out of the country? Are we sure it's out of the country, London? Because isn't there I think there's a city named London or something like that. Yeah, I don't know if is it out of the country, London? Private jet, potentially. I didn't even know he had that much. And that's the part. They found documentation. They sure did. Do we know that it was they said London. I'm assuming it was out of the country when I read that, but I don't know. People said that it was a what is it called? A city somewhere else. They mentioned about, but they did. Now, people have to sign off for that, right? But that's what they said. People are assuming that it could be London, Texas. I don't know, but there's a Texas in London. So I don't know if they meant outside of the country. It doesn't specify. But guys, to get a passport, you need consent, right? As a minor. Hey, but what did Epstein do? How did Epstein get so many victims into different areas and countries and travels? And, how did he do that? What holes in the system exist when you have to get a passport, right? There's this modeling traveler's visa that people, this is a thing. If you did not look into the Epstein stuff, this is a thing. Unless the parents signed for it. Okay? You got a missing child and she's able to travel outside of the country. Did the parents sign for this, or was it was it fake or what? Maybe his manager, maybe a private jet, and that's the unanswered question. How does she get to and from, right? How does she get to and from? That's right. Why are we assuming, and her family's from El Salvador. Maybe they did have a passport. My son had a passport at 7. That's a good point. Maybe she had one already. But my question is, though, Tracy, if she is a missing child on a missing poster, how was she able to travel? Aren't these things flagged? Or is that a loophole in the system, too, that we haven't figured out yet? Clearly, I traveled with my mom a couple times out of the country, and she had to write a letter. That she didn't, but my dad did, that he consented for me to travel with my mom, that was okay. You said she didn't go to TSA. There's a lot of unanswered questions that we have. A lot. So I don't know, man. Private jet? I'm telling you, even though we got some answers, I had more questions too, even after yesterday. So let's get into this. And again, we're just going to skim read because so much of this we've already read. So what do we know so far? So the DA is alleging that, her dismembered body was found in the Tesla. Okay. Now, The vehicle had been towed 3 days prior from the 1405 Bluebird Avenue. That is the residence where Steve Fisher's, the what is it, the homeowner area, right? Where Steve Fisher, he works for, right? Which was parked approximately 400 feet from the defendant's home in the Doheny place. Surveillance video and other evidence confirmed defendant was the last person to drive the vehicle on July 29, 2025. Now, people were asking yesterday, well, didn't Steve Fisher say it was somebody else? Well, we don't know what surveillance they're looking at, right? What Steve could be looking at different surveillance than what another person is, what an officer was looking at. We don't know what officers, what they had access to, right? We don't. Steve could be looking at maybe the homeowner's cameras or the neighbor's cameras, but we don't know where they pulled this surveillance from. I mean, don't people pull street cameras out of somewhere too? Do we know? Steve's ring video was posted on his Twitter last night, 20 seconds, and it was very blurry. You said, okay. You said, I would say the cops have more for sure, because there's only so much access Steve can have. Steve released a video. All right, well, I have not watched it. Let's look into this video, y'all. I'm here for it. I am here for it. And like I said, baby bunny's coming and going. I got a sitter, but she's still a little under the weather. She still wants her mama every once in a while. So be patient with me. Okay, let's get into this. So apparently there was footage. Oh, okay. All right. Look at this. Shout out to Steve Fisher. You guys check out his Twitter. Okay. Huh. Oh, okay. Hold up. That is very. Oh, who's the person driving the car? Very dirty, right? Very dirty. Very hard to tell who's driving it, though, I would say. Oh. Huh. You said she could have gone to London. Y'all are still in the London. I vote Steve to be on Rabbit's show. I can call Steve. I could probably schedule something with him if he's okay with that. I have no problem. Yeah, I have a hard time seeing who is actually driving. But maybe he has some other visuals too. Look at this. Yeah. And what date was this? Do we know? Hold up. Here it is. Somebody's driving it. It looks like David, actually. I will say. Let me see. Now that the prosecutor has released a briefing for the preliminary hearing in D4VD case, we are releasing the surveillance footage of the Tesla being moved on July 29th. The driver is lighter skin with long hair wearing a red jersey. Do we have footage of the driver getting off? Huh. Look at this. September 25, 2025 Street View. Interesting. Okay, so let me go. And then he also dropped, as stated in the preliminary brief documented by prosecutors, David was receiving packages, including the burn cage at the rental home under the name Victoria Mendez. Steve said someone was wearing the same shirt he's seen in the video. Interesting. So here it says there's a Victoria Mendez. And what is the, oh my God, there you go. Victoria Mendez. Including the burn cage at the rental house under the name Victoria Mendez. Oh my God. There it is. I will be live on NewsNation. Okay, we could watch a little bit of Steve too. And he says, a couple of months ago, we disclosed that D4VD was under investigation by the Riverside County Sheriff's Department. Yeah, he did. I remember this. And the contact had been made with him by a West Hollywood Sheriff's Department that was confirmed yesterday and will effectively eliminate any defense that he did not know Celeste's age, as we stated. Detectives made David Anthony Burke aware of Celeste Rivas Hernandez's age, even though he had already knew. What is also troubling is that Celeste was at home in Lake Elsinore on April 23rd, 2025. Remember, that's what the document says. When David sent an Uber to bring her to the Hollywood Hills home. My question is this: was she a runaway when she was at home on April 20, before she was picked up by that Uber? Or was she just staying at home? Okay. Now, it was said in the document that they had broken up sometime in November of 2024, right? But he was still grooming her. He was still kind of like abusing her, right? She had been reported. Okay. What did I do? Here it is. She stated detectives made David aware. As stated, detectives made David aware of Celeste's age, even though he already knew. What is also troubling is that Celeste was at home in Lake Elsinore on April 23rd, 2025, when David sent an Uber to bring her to the Hollywood Hills home. She had been reported missing a full year earlier, and it was never reported to detectives that she was no longer a missing person. Okay, that's what he says. She was not attending school. Yeah. April was she was not at that's another thing too. And it's a very good point, is that if she was not missing, she would be going to school, right? Like, she would have to have gone to school after being reported to law enforcement as someone who had returned home. So I do wonder about this too. And maybe this is why they didn't call her in. I'm not really sure. April 23rd, 2025 was a Wednesday, a school night. She should have never been traveling 80 miles in an Uber to meet David. My goodness. Now, I'm going to see if we can find Steve Fisher's interview as well on NewsNation. I do wonder if they released it. Okay. Yep. Let's see. Hold up. I mean, all of these details are just so horrible. Honestly, like, I can't even to make sense of this, guys. Like, let's see. NewsNation, Steve Fisher. D4VD. Let's see if we can find it. Is this it? Did they release? I hope they released the interview, because I would like to see it 6 hours ago. This was yesterday. Can we get it? Okay. All right. Here it is. So let's get into this.
You're learning some more disturbing, and I will just say incredibly gruesome details about the murder case against the singer David tonight. And this is thanks to a brief that was filed by Los Angeles Deputy District Attorney Beth Silverman in connection with a status hearing earlier today. And I will warn you right now, some of what you're about to hear is very graphic. According to prosecutors, David, real name David Anthony Burke, allegedly used a chainsaw to dismember the body of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez after murdering her. He then allegedly amputated 2 fingers on her hand that could have linked him to the teen runaway, one that apparently had a tattoo of his name. Again, it's horrifying to hear. This 9-page brief that was obtained by TMZ lays out the evidence that Silverman planned to present at a preliminary hearing that was set for Friday, although today the defense said there was just too much discovery to go through by Friday, so the judge pushed that hearing back almost a month to May 26th. Again, that's where the prosecution wants to present enough evidence to say they can move forward with the case. Now, David was charged with first-degree murder, continuous sexual abuse of a minor, mutilating human remains earlier this month after the LAPD stormed this ritzy Hollywood Hills home that he'd been staying at and arrested him. He's pleaded not guilty to all the charges. But the 21-year-old singer was at the top of everyone's suspect list after Celeste's badly decomposed body was found in the trunk of a Tesla reportedly registered to him last September. And in that brief that I mentioned before, prosecutors also claim they had evidence from surveillance videos and other sources that allegedly showed David was the last person to drive that car on July 29th. This is about a month before Celeste's body was found. Now, that could leave open the possibility that someone else moved the car afterwards. We're not entirely sure. But last week, Los Angeles District Attorney Nathan Hochman said that David killed Celeste because she threatened to expose the fact that he had been sexually abusing her, which could have been devastating for his music career. I mean, David.
That would give anybody motive, right? You're speaking out. That would give anybody motive. Reason, premeditation, all of it. My goodness, man. I just like, I don't know. Crazy work.
It was reportedly dropped from his label. And the brief also contains more information about that alleged relationship, including the allegation that Celeste was apparently just 11 years old when the pair met and just 13 when they allegedly started this sexual relationship. And as for today, the singer was in court. He was clean shaven, quiet in court this afternoon, saying just 2 words, "Yes, ma'am," when asked if he agreed to the new date. And that glow up is thanks to the efforts of his attorneys, who asked the judge if their client could get a haircut, some dress clothes ahead of court. The judge agreed to the haircut, said no to the new duds, which is why David was wearing an orange prison jumpsuit today. And we can expect to see him back in court May 12th for a status hearing. But joining me now to dive into all this, forensic death investigator from Jacksonville State University, Joseph Scott Morgan, the host of Body Bags, missing persons private investigator Steve Fisher, who's been on this story from the very beginning. Great to have you both here. Steve, I'm going to start with you. So everybody knows you were hired by the owner of the home that David was reportedly renting. You were hired to investigate. You talked about a chainsaw months ago. You talked about finding a chainsaw months ago. Your reaction to this, does this confirm everything that you couldn't actually reveal at the time? Talk to us about it.
Yeah, it confirms some of it. We didn't know everything. Let's be honest about that. But, we did find a chainsaw. We found a burn cage, and we knew that they were ordered in the name of this Victoria Mendez. And we disclosed that it was, in a fake name. And but we didn't know if that was a real person or not. However, all these things, and there was more things that were delivered to the house in that name, and we couldn't get past the chainsaw or the.
There was more things that were ordered by that name, right? And then if you think about the cell phone, the text messages, they were talking about abortions. What is it? Pregnancies, Plan Bs, taking Plan Bs. I mean, not knowing what yeah, I mean, it's a lot of conversations between these individuals about, that David was having with Celeste. And it goes back to that question I had asked. I'm like, well, was she ever pregnant at any point before her death? I mean, if you're taking Plan B, one would assume that, yeah, it's very possible that this could have been a thing. And if she was, David would have been in trouble, right? Because immediately they would have tried to look and see who the father of this baby is. I mean, that's how a lot of people get caught too once a child is born.
Burn cage, just there was no reasonable use to have it there. And now we find out that it does appear like, they played a role.
Joseph, I don't know I really don't know the best way to ask this, but can you explain what dismembering somebody with a chainsaw actually entails, cutting off someone's fingers? Because we now have to believe, according to prosecutors, if these allegations are true, that a 20-year-old did this.
Yeah, I can break it down for you very succinctly. The fact that the RPMs that a chainsaw generates, which are thousands, it moves at a very high clip. And with that, chainsaw has teeth on it. It's not teeth like a regular handsaw. I've had a couple of cases involving chainsaws over the course of my career. And I'll just put it to you this way, the deposition of tissue and blood, because with a regular handsaw, you might get a little tissue. You're gonna have a lot of blood. This is going to sling actual tissue everywhere. And so the idea that this could be cleaned up completely, there's no way. No way,
God,
under God's green heaven, that you're going to be able to clean up every bit of tissue deposition that's there. You might think.
Oh. So here's my question. All right. So if this happened in the garage, as they're saying, because that's where sounds like they might have found some things there, how come no I don't remember ever seeing anybody in forensics going in there and doing a cleanup, right? At all. Nothing like that. And thank you, Venus. You're right. Plan B does not terminate pregnancies because people were, you're right. Thank you. It prevents implantation of an egg. So it's not for a termination of a pregnancy, right? However, the messages do say Plan B, abortions, stuff like that. So but it does make you wonder, was she ever pregnant? Or it clearly, if you're taking Plan B, it's because you're trying to prevent from implantation. You're right. So was she ever pregnant? That's the question. If you're talking about abortion, I'm assuming that, that's something that was a decision that needed to be made there, but we don't know. We don't know. Because what we were told is that she wasn't pregnant when she died, right? So there's that. They said they probably tried to clean it up, but traces were left. Remember, they said CSI was going in the drains. Yeah, they did say that. You said, so they say that she was dismembered in the garage, but was she also killed in there? That's the question. Where was she killed? In the garage? That's what they said. They said that certain matter and whatnot. And just like the Joseph Scott Morgan also said that you're talking about a chainsaw. Chainsaw, what does it have? It has teeth in it. There's a way in which it sustains, but also like chainsaws are pretty loud, right? So he's doing this in the garage in his home. And I mean, again, these houses aren't like right next door to each other where you could hear, everything. You know what? Y'all remember the cops were called at David's house at one point. Okay. Loud music at like 4 a.m. You said electric chainsaws are silent. Do we know what kind of chainsaw he used, though? Electric chainsaws are very quiet, Rabbit. I thought chainsaws were loud. Chainsaws and other instruments were used. Was there music playing out loud to kind of stop the noise? But I guess you guys are saying that some of this could be quiet. I'm not really sure. Anyways, let's keep going. It's okay. It's crazy work.
You've gotten it. But once the cops get in there and they have enough time, they're going to collect. And that goes back to this idea that they've identified DNA. And they're saying that it is her DNA.
And coupled with the pieces from the pool, right? The pool mat that allegedly he used to wrap her up.
Well, yeah, and they're talking about a kiddie pool that was there that facilitated this. And if you read that TMZ bit that they had, they're talking about he used this to guard the flow of blood. So, yeah, and if it is blue, they've got plastic embedded into these insults onto her body. And so it would be a matter of the criminalists, which also has indicated that they're examining these pieces. They've been able to tie back these fragments, which is very powerful stuff.
Steve, so much was made about this alleged relationship. The brief says that Celeste was 11 years old when they first met, 13 years old when this sexual relationship began, that there was text messages between the two talking about Plan B, pregnancy, naked photos of Celeste, of her engaging in sexual activity. Is this in line with what you found?
Yeah, it is. And, it's so sad. I mean, this girl, she'd been a teenager for 1 year, and it's so hard to get past, like, how he could do how anybody could do this to anybody and ruin their life. But, I want to say something real quick because I was going to call Joseph off the show too before. We're really confused about this. What happened to this tissue and this blood matter from the chainsaw? Because they make it sound like there was trace amounts found, and they didn't really turn the house into a crime scene. They didn't hold it long when they did the search warrant. So it's really confusing us. It seems like a chainsaw would have absolutely created a horrific scene.
That is a great question, because I thought about this too. I was like, wait, so if we're saying that the crime was committed at the home, they didn't really hold the house too long. Hell, they didn't even hold the car for too long, right? After they collected her body. Didn't I just say this? I'm like, wouldn't they have closed the house down? You're talking about, I mean, I'm just saying, maybe I'm just like, I don't know. I'd be like, I'm thinking they would have closed the place just like you would hold the car, but then they didn't even hold the car for too long. So they returned it to the, impound for it to be picked up by the owner or whatever. Like, I would have thought that it would have been closed down. My hope is that they got the forensics, because if we're talking about going to trial and this guy's saying that he's not guilty, this is the stuff that's going to get challenged. I hope they got everything, because you're talking about, like, that house was not closed off. very long. Did anybody else notice that too? Because I certainly did. And now you have a house that, this owner who just wanted to find out what happened, opened himself up, for a lot of this too. This happened at his house? Reasonable doubt. That's what I'm saying, Ava. Like, it's like, remember when the Idaho 4 happened? They were like, people were very upset about them tearing that house down. I think they did tear it down. I didn't follow the case. I followed the case here and there, but not very closely. There was a thing. There was a worry about evidence and don't tear the house down until the trial's over type of situation, that kind of situation. So I had to kind of wonder, well, yeah, like, wouldn't there be an issue here? The property can only be seized for purposes of investigation. Publicly, we were told the first warrants were for collecting digital evidence. We will see later what truth is. That's right. You know what? First Liberties Podcast is right. Because what do they say? 54? 54, 54? Not 67, 54 warrants. Warrants. It's a lot. That's a lot. That is a lot. And then, you know what? I knew somebody was going to bring this up because I was thinking the same thing too. Remember what Sheriff Nanos did in the Nancy Guthrie case? It's not a crime scene, and then it became a crime scene, but not really. Like, it kind of went back and forth. Yeah, like, I'm like, hey, time is of essence, evidence is of essence, but maybe they collected everything that they needed. All I know is that come trial, it better be, we have everything. We have everything that we need. There should be no issues, right? Just saying.
But they don't speak about that.
Well,
So I still feel like there's a piece we're not getting.
Talk about a piece we're not getting to this. We've always wondered if the allegations are true, did he have help? The brief claimed that David was the last to drive the Tesla in late July before Celeste's body was found. It didn't confirm, as far as I read, that doesn't mean someone else may have moved it. You tell me if I'm looking at it the wrong way. And then also they made the allegation that David lied to people about the smell in the trunk. So it seemed when I was reading this, it kind of moved away from the idea of him working with anyone else.
I mean, I guess it depends the way you read it. I still go back to the DA's statement that they're not taking off the table. Other people can still be charged in this thing. I do think there was help. As far as the Tesla goes, the surveillance we have, I've always said that they probably have more surveillance than us. Surveillance we have, I do not believe that that's David is a light-skinned, long-haired person driving the car. I don't know what they have after that time, if David went to the car or something. But
or if they knew what was in the car. Or if they knew what was in the car. Because, look, that's another part. They talk about the body being in the car for quite some time. I still think it's a little confusing about where the remains were when they were transported to the car. I mean, do you have a better idea?
Well,
was there ever a time, here's the question that I have, was there ever the time that the remains were somewhere, like she took her to Santa Barbara County? Was there ever a time where the remains actually left the Tesla, or have the remains always been in the Tesla? That's the question. And Flojo sent me this. I want to show you guys. There's a couple things I want to show you guys, actually. Hold up. So Flojo, thank you for this picture, but this is one picture on, somebody said on Reddit. I just screenshotted from the recording. I think it's pretty clear. It looks like David. It looks like his head is turned a little bit to the side, and that's either something. So a bit more of a close-up, but I still don't think I can really make out who this could be, honestly. I don't think I can. And maybe I need to change my background. Hold up, y'all. It'd be better if I maybe go dark. Go dark. Go dark. Dark background. Here it is. Is that better? Let me know. Because I know my background's very, very busy. Did we ever find out who called the car in? What do you mean, who called the car in? Like, I think it had tickets. They were going to tow it. DP. I don't know. What do you mean by that? Let me know, love. Called the car in. Joe Mama, thank you so much for your 6-month membership. Thank you. Appreciate it. DP says, Rabbit, there's no requirement to have an abortion in Cali, regardless. There's no age requirement. I think that's what you meant to say. To have an abortion in Cali, regardless of age. I didn't know that. Wow. That's interesting. Okay. Thank you so much again for the super sticker. But this one right here, this question right here, I don't know. What do you mean? Who called it in? Joe, thank you again for your 6-month membership. Shout out to y'all. Thank you. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button and hyping, please, and thank you. Looks like the car drives itself. I mean, they have those cars that drive themselves too, right? what is it called? I forgot what it's called. It's like a certain mode. Reporting it from the street. It was the street. What is it? The city people. They had ticketed and nobody was picking it up. I'm not really sure if somebody called it in or it was just parking enforcement, because I thought it was parking enforcement only. Okay, so this is what I'm showing y'all. Now I need to show you guys something else. Okay, this is what I was discussing earlier. Let me stop sharing this. Okay, see if I can answer my own question. Here it is. Shout out to the Reddit. Here is what I was looking for. And I think that maybe I might need to make myself a little bit smaller here. Give me 1 second. Yeah, it was the Department of Transportation, right? Thank you, Joe. All right, hold up. So 2025, December 24, 2025. They said that the last time they saw her. Oh, look at this. Okay, this is interesting. This is very interesting. They said that the last time, the DA is saying April 23rd of 2025. Okay. There was a police call to her home on March 29th, 2025. And then April 27th, 2025, they were called. Okay. They were called, and the code, there's a disposition, there's a nature of call and then disposition. Now, the nature of call is listed as MN crim. Okay. What is MN crim? MN crim is lower level offenses of suspicious activity not considered major crime, usually things that don't rise to a full case, possibly missions, persons check, welfare check, or even any attempts to locate a runaway or interview without escalating into a full case. You know what that tells me? This is, I don't know how Cali works, okay? Be very clear. On April the 27th, 2025, after not hearing from Celeste for a couple days, okay, somebody in the address home where her parents live, where she lives, called, in my opinion, likely called her in as a runaway on April 27th. So she wasn't a runaway when she left to go see David. She was called in again as a runaway, because if you look at the criminal code, it's a lower level. And here it even says, or even log any attempts to locate a runaway or interview without escalating to a full case. So they called her again as a runaway days after she went. Well, now we know she died. She was killed. But days after, she didn't report back to home. This is a very interesting document. If you are following this case, don't sleep on this, because I think it's an interesting timeline of events. So she was called. After she didn't come home, they called her in again on the 27th. And then it goes from there to like April 27th, nothing. I mean, let's see. FU is welfare check, another welfare check, missing person. Look at this. So then this is interesting. All right, here it is. So then April 27th, somebody in the address calls MN Crim, okay, lower level. And then September 9th, 2025, September 9th, 2025, y'all. FU, it's a code. Just a follow-up from an officer returning to an earlier report for paperwork, welfare, or clarifying for a report. Usually used when logging for a missing persons case evolve, so they can possibly review earlier leads on a situation or contact their parents. Okay, this is September 9th. When was Celeste found? We went from April to September. When was Celeste found? Remember? Put a one in the chat if you're following what I'm dropping here. Okay. Yeah. So on the 9th, the police followed up with their parents. The parents reported her. It's what it looks like. The parents reported her missing on the 27th. They hadn't heard from her. She hadn't come back from David. She went to David's. Okay. 2025. That's the year. It's listed there. 2025. Yeah. So then her body was found on the 8th of September. On the 9th, they're calling 911. When did they speak with TMZ? When did TMZ drop that article about the identification? What happened? Her birthday. Yes, her birthday's on the 7th. The 8th, she was found but not identified. Somebody got a hold of the parents between, the time frame. And then somebody from the home called Riverside. Riverside comes over and they take a report and they get some more details. September 16th is when she was identified. That's right. So her parents did call her missing when she didn't return on the, after the 23rd. They called her on the 27th of April. It says it here, guys. This is, like I said, this is a very interesting report because it gives you, and I was thinking about this last night. I said, well, what is a dispatch report? Because this one stood out to me as like something that, well, first of all, these are calls. This is public information. You can actually substantiate to the timeline. Then, hold up, it keeps going. So there was a 9th where FU, it's labeled as FU, then the 10th FU, okay? Then there was a September 12th. And it's labeled as PC549. There were several calls, several 911 calls on September after Celeste's body was found, but she wasn't identified until later, okay? So PC594, cases of vandalism. So any willful destruction of property. Okay, there's that. And then there's more FUs after that. So I don't know what happened here, vandalism in between. But there's more follow-up, FU, just a follow-up. There was a follow-up on the 19th of September. Again, when did FloJo say she was identified? On the 16th. Yeah. Yep. We watched that footage. Yes, we did. So it's interesting. You said, yeah, but September 23rd and 27th is a big stretch. She may not have been at home. The 23rd, you mean, or the 27th? September? But she was called, somebody called in April 27th. She wasn't found until the 8th of September. I was like, huh? Oh, you said sorry? I'm like confused. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It is a big stretch. Maybe they thought she was going to come back. They said, well, she'll come back, or what? Wasn't the first time she ran away, But that is a couple days between the 23rd and the 27th. How many days are we talking about? That's a big stretch. It is, I would say. But she's a minor, right? But yeah, I have a lot of questions about this. What made them call? Why didn't they call on the 24th instead of the, sooner? 3-4 days in between? This is a good point. But they did call, right? They hadn't heard from her. And then there's a follow-up. And this is what I do. This is just a speculation. I'm speculating here. I think that TMZ called them, the family, and spoke with mom sometime on what is it? On the 8th. Okay. TMZ calls the family on the 8th because, like I said, there was this, what I was told was that within this community, there were some rumors in the school and stuff like that about Celeste and that the body was found and that being Celeste in David's car. This was a thing, right? So I think that TMZ called the family on the 8th, which, when did they publish that story? Hold up. D4VD TMZ. I want to say it was called Body Found in Car or something like that. Let's go back. Here it is. I don't think this is the first article, but this is definitely one of the articles, September 9th, that it was published. Okay? Giving you guys a timeline. This is when we didn't know her name. We didn't know what was going on. And a lot of us were like, was he being set up? Like, who would do that, right? This is how they reported at the time. Okay. This is what they said. Hold up. Now, David was set to take the stage in Minneapolis. Okay. He was going to do a tour. Okay. He was going to perform in the Grammys. Remember that? Hold up. And a Tesla registered to singer D4VD, okay, was there. Body was found inside. LAPD tells TMZ officers responded Monday after receiving reports of a foul odor. Okay. This is the news about her mom and stuff like none of this had been out yet. Okay. That she had been identified. So I do wonder at some point they might have gotten a hold of the mom. And then that's when TMZ put out the information and identified her publicly as Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Anyways, interesting timing. But let's go back to the report. I know I stop in because it's kind of nice to put things together while I'm thinking out loud. All right.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think he stored them in the car. We heard from neighbors that the car started moving around the neighborhood starting in May. But you listen, it was nearby, and it was listen. I'm in search and rescue. I've dealt with a lot of deceased bodies. There's a very distinct smell that, especially if it was in the garage for a while. And that's where the other Tesla was being parked. It was going in and out of it. It was not being parked on the street, and they had like an arcade set up down there. I don't know how these people didn't know.
Look, this is an important day, right? I mean, it wasn't a preliminary hearing, but this document, 9 pages, provided so much information that we were all waiting for. We will see what happens next. Steve Fisher, Joseph Scott Morgan, thank you both for coming on to talk about the details of what is truly one of the worst cases I've heard in quite some time. Thank you both.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our...
Shut up, Cuomo. That is an understatement. Man. Like one of the worst. I'm like, what do you mean? It's just, it's a crazy, like diabolical situation to do to a child. This is like, I can't even, we talk a lot about it, but I still can't wrap my head around that this actually happened to this child. You said the house still smells, from what I read, that the place, there's an odor where the crime took place. Really interesting. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if Steve went to the property, so I do wonder if Steve noted an odor or anything like that. And I'm sure that if he did, he probably would have reported it if that was the case. When did David call her phone and pretended to be looking for her when he already knew she was no longer alive, right, Belen? So let's get into that because I keep stopping here, but that's okay. We're talking and we're processing. So surveillance video and other evidence confirms defendant was the last person seen. The last person to drive the vehicle on July 29, 2025, before he left Los Angeles on a concert tour. Okay. So on the September 8, 2025, the manager of the tow yard where the Tesla had been impounded noted that the strong smell of decay and the presence of flies coming from the vehicle. He notified LAPD Hollywood auto detectives who determined the Tesla was registered to defendant through departmental resources. At the tow yard, the LAPD detectives opened the Tesla front storage compartment and observed a black cadaver bag covered in insects. Inside the bag, they discovered a severely decomposed head and torso. A plastic garbage bag underneath the black cadaver bag contained the dismembered arms and legs. However, the victim's ring and pinky fingers and her left hand had been amputated and were not found in the Tesla. Now, let me see something else. Okay. Because there's something else that's telling me to check on something real quick that I'm like, this is interesting. Hold up. Let's go to September 17th. Okay. Look at this. I'm going to show you guys because like I said, this is why you can't sleep on TMZ. I get it. I'm I bitch about TMZ all the time. I do. I'm their number one bitching person, right? Shout out to Sheriff Harvey. But you can't sleep on them when they insert themselves in a case. So we do have to talk about them. Okay. September 17th, TMZ drops this article. D4VD Tesla case. Authorities ID body found in car. Mother tells TMZ it's her missing daughter. At some point, they called TMZ. Now, I thought this was published on the 17th. That doesn't mean that they called her on the 17th. They could have written this on the 17th. But I honestly think they might have called her sooner than that to identify her. And then they put this article out here. The person whose body was found in singer D4VD's Tesla has been identified as Celeste. And TMZ has spoken to her mother, who says she had a boyfriend named David. What did First Liberty's podcast say? She's probably going to be one of the ones testifying in court, right? Somebody's going to be testifying to this, right? Because like literally they just put, this is out here. So First Liberties, if you're in the chat, I think we talked about this and we went over this. I mean, they might be, if we're going to trial, they're going to be testifying this. They're going to be asking who contacted you, how did this go, how did you identify, and all this other stuff. But guess what? Who says she had a boyfriend named David, okay? Celeste was 15, according to the LA County Medical Examiners, which, by the way, I saw that they changed information on the website, which we'll check here in a minute, okay? So here is this. TMZ got a tip that the victim was a young girl who had gone missing from Lake Elsinore, California in April 2024. Now, this is what TMZ is not telling you. She wasn't always missing, right? She had been reported missing, but if you look at the report and the 911 calls, she was coming and going. So at some point, they were calling her in as she came back, okay? And she ran away again and she came back. If you look at the dispatch report, it literally shows you that activity, okay? She's coming and she's going and they're calling her in and they're calling her in every time she's a runaway, all right? Now, that's what TMZ's not telling you. But if you look at the dispatch report, it kind of lets you know. TMZ contacted Celeste's mother, who told us she felt the body found. Listen, TMZ contacted Celeste's mother, who told us she felt the body found in the Tesla might be her daughter. She said the police description, which included a tattoo on her finger with the letters "shh," matched her daughter. That was the finger left. That was a tattoo. That finger, that's the finger that was left. Had he cut off that finger, I would have to wonder if she would have been able to have been identified, right? TMZ forwarded the information to the LAPD Robbery Homicide Division. She was wearing black leggings and a tube top, 2 pieces of jewelry, which I didn't hear the jewelry in the medical examiner's report. I heard the clothing, and a metal stud earring and a metal chain bracelet in the shape of a W. Very descriptive things about jewelry, but that wasn't reported in the medical examiner's office. We heard about the clothing. Cops had been working vigorously to identify the victim identity ever since the body parts were found last week inside the Tesla in the Hollywood impound, where it was towed after it was found abandoned in the Hollywood Hills home. The car has a Texas license plate that's registered to David. It was never reported stolen. David has been on tour and continuing his performances, and sources say he's cooperating with police. Interesting looking at this now September article, now where we're at, right? Okay, now let's go back to the article, all right? Because it's all coming back to me. It's all coming back to me now when we first started talking about this. Did they say that the name, didn't they say the mama called in the tattoo, but the tattoo wasn't even there? She said she identified her daughter with a tattoo. Here's my question is, how did TMZ know that Celeste had a tattoo if TMZ didn't talk to somebody who told them that, a source? That's a very, it is a description, a tattoo that says shh, and it's specific on your finger, and your mom knows that. It's not just like in the back or no, it's in her finger, very specific on the inside, inner inside of the finger. When somebody's calling you to identify, yeah, I only remember the mention. I never remembered that it was David, the David tattoo. But had he taken that finger out, this would have been a whole different thing. You know what I mean? Wasn't it red? I thought that, and I thought the tattoo David was red, but maybe it was a different picture. I'm not really sure. We'd have to look into that too. So anyways, let's keep going. No, he only cut off the David and the pinky finger. That's what he did. Yeah. I thought wait, was the red one? Lord have mercy. Hold up, let me see. What color tattoo? Let me see. Now you're gonna make me look. Mama Llama, I gotta see now. Was hold up. Now I want to see. I think it was. Hold up, friends. Hold up, my friends. See, David had the same tattoo. I don't know. Was it red? Hold up. Anyways, we'll pull it in a minute. Okay. The David. Okay, so Flojo, was the tattoo red? Or was it here it is. It is, y'all. Look at this. Let me show y'all. See, our mind are playing crazy trick games on us. Let me show you guys. Thank you, Flojo. You are amazing. Look at this. That looks red to me. His is black. You're right. And hers is red. Right. You two bad actors. It really is a horrible case. And David had the tattoo, right? They had matching tattoos. Hers is red. It's like light, you know what I mean? But it looks red to me. For sure. All right. Now, shout out to Flojo again. He sent me this, you guys, and I'm trying to figure out. Hold up. Let me show you guys something else. When I look at this picture, how did this happen here? How do you dismember somebody here? This is the garage, right? So he put the blue pool on the floor and then he dismembered her there. Do you see the size of that? Like when you put this garage and put the picture up, it puts things into perspective. Let me make myself smaller, y'all. How? And it's a double door garage. So there's like, unless, I don't know, the other side is supposed to be like an arcade place. And then the other side is supposed to be where they park the red Tesla. I don't know how he didn't have help, but apparently he's the only one charged right now. You said he probably hung the... Yeah, these pictures definitely don't. Can you imagine actually being there and seeing all this? Like, knowing what happened here? Well, that's Panda. Isn't this what they're saying? Well, we're going back to the document. They're saying that she was dismembered there, unless there's another garage. And did he kill her? He didn't kill her in the garage. I think he killed her somewhere in the home. You said this is a good point for the defense when defending him, the mutilation charge, but credibility is always up to the jury. Even if it's doubtful he's guilty, if they buy it. Yeah, so the garage is like a two-part garage, y'all. So like he was parked, the other side of the garage is an arcade. This side is like where they would park the red Tesla. Let me hold up. Now I hear my... Ooh. So is it black or red? Because this one, is this supposed to be Celeste? Hold up. Let me show you guys another thing. This is another picture that Flojo just sent me. Yeah, tarps can be used. I know, right? See through you. See through. I am too. Like, I'm like, oh my God, they've been sitting on this for how long? Lord have mercy. So is it red or is it black? Maybe it's both. I don't know. It's the pointer finger? Well, this is, I think everybody puts their tattoo on the pointer. Well, where you usually use the pointer finger, right? To not any other finger. That looks black, but the other one, David tattoo looks red. So maybe this one is black. David tattoo is red. I think that's what it is. All right, hold up. Now let's go back to the document. Let me stop sharing this. Thank you, FloJo. All right, let's go back. Back. Where did my document go? Oh man, these pictures are just insane. Here it is. All right, guys, do me a favor. Take a minute to please hit the like button. Please share. Please hype. Do all those things, please. And thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate it. SJ, thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate you. Thank you. And let me shout out some people. DP became a new member. Thank you, love. Shout out to you. Thank you. Jazzy Jazz, thank you so much for your 1 month membership. 223 likes. 1 people K watching. What are y'all doing? Yes. Can we get to 500 likes, please? And thank you. Thank you for telling the people. Thank you. Appreciate it. Use your thumb finger to... What? You do? How? Shh. Do people use other fingers besides their pointer finger to tell people to be quiet? To shush? I always thought it was the pointer finger. Your thumb finger? That's a first. The index finger? Is this the in? Yeah, this is it. Anyways, moving on. Let's get into this. Continue. So then they said, all right, a pointer finger, LOL. Yeah, that thumb is weird, but whatever. Whatever rocks your boat. Okay, let's keep going, guys. Let's keep going. So, September 8th, the manager of the tow yard where the Tesla had been impounded noted the strong odor and the presence of flies coming from the vehicle. He notified the LAPD Hollywood auto detectives, who determined that the Tesla was registered to the defendant. A tow yard at the LAPD detectives opened the Tesla's front storage compartment and observed a black cadaver bag covered in insects. Side note, it should be illegal to buy cadaver bags on Amazon unless you're like a medical expert, you work at a funeral home, you're running out of supply. Like it should be illegal to buy cadaver bags, because I can't think of any other uses. I mean, I don't think. Is there another reason why you would use a cadaver bag? And don't say Halloween, because you can get those at the Halloween store. And those are, gag cadaver bags. But it should be illegal to buy cadaver bags. I don't know, man. It's just me. Anyways, just my opinion. Y'all don't have to agree. Okay. Let's keep going. Oh, where'd it go? The chat is so funny. Y'all are reacting. I'm just saying. Don't be mad at me. Okay. Here we go. So inside the bag, so at the tow yard, the LAPD detectives opened the Tesla's front storage compartment and observed a black cadaver bag covered in insects. Inside the bag, they discovered a severely decomposed head and torso. A plastic garbage bag beneath the black cadaver bag contained the dismembered arms and legs. However, the victim's ring and pinky fingers on the left hand had been amputated and were not found in the Tesla. On September 16, 2025, the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner's Department positively identified the body from dental records as belonging to the victim. Pursuant to their investigation, the LAPD robbery and homicide detectives determined that the victim and the defendant met in January 2022 when she was 11 years old. They have whatever metadata timeline, and people have said this is the fortnight. Okay, this is the fortnight situation right here. All right, so whatever metadata things that they have there, they gave us a timeline there. She was just 11 years old. They began an sexual relationship in November 2023 when the victim was just 13 years old and defendant was 18. Okay, 13 and 18. This is why we've talked about cases where you have middle schoolers and high schoolers going to the same school. I'm an advocate of separating these age groups. Anything that can get anybody over the age of 16, I think, you can get in trouble depending on the state. If you are dealing with a minor, separate them. Separate them. There's no reason. This is crazy work. An 18-year-old should not be interested in a 13-year-old. Okay. I don't know. Where do we hear that from? Where do we hear? It's crazy work. Anyways, let's keep going. Detectives learned the victim had been reported missing to the Riverside County Sheriff's Department by her family, who lived in Lake Elsinore. In February and April of 2024, RCSD telephonically, can't even say that word, contacted defendant on February 17, 2024, after they identified a phone number in the victim's phone records that belonged to David or belonged to him. During the call, defendant claimed he had spoken to the victim last on February 13th or 14th, 2024. So this is David giving his alibi. He's like, I haven't talked to her. I haven't talked to her since, 13th or 14th. But stated he was unaware that she was a minor or that she had been reported missing. Now, the date of that email, and you're like, what email? What email are you talking about? Let's talk about that email. Josh Marshall. No. Yes, Josh Marshall email. And I bet you the Reddits have it because the Reddits have everything. The Reddits have everything. Okay? Hold up. Josh Marshall. And I think even Steve posted it already. We talked about it. Yeah, the Reddits, shout out to the Reddit. Well, the Reddits have been keeping record of it all, but so has Steve Fisher too. He showed it too. Let me see if I can pull it because we have already reviewed this. But I think the date, if we're putting things into perspective as far as date goes, and Steve has put a lot of timeline and work to this too, which I think is important. Let's see. Why can't I find it? Marshall. Email. D4VD. Da-da-da-da-da. Here we go. Where is it at? Here it is. This is an interesting email. I found it. And I think it brings, let's remove that real quick, a timeline to our conversation here. And that's why I'm showing it. Even some of us have already seen this, and that's okay. But it gives us, it lets things sink in. February 19th, okay, is the date of this email. And it was sent to d4vd@mogul.vision. And when you do a search, I remember when I did a search to this email and it led back to Josh's Instagram. Now, who is Josh? Josh is the manager. He works for Interscope. The house that David was, renting, okay? The one that they're talking about as far as where this happened to Celeste, was rented to Josh Marshall. Josh Marshall is the manager, David's manager from Interscope, right? So somebody, potentially somebody in the school, from what we heard, sent this to Josh. And it said, February 19th, 2024, there's been talks that the artist D4VD possibly has something to do with the disappearance of 13-year-old Celeste Rivas. If that statement holds any merit, please do the right thing and take her home. Her parents are very worried. And they attach Celeste's missing posters, Celeste's pictures, Celeste's high school picture, okay? Well, middle school, because she wasn't in high school then. I mean, she wasn't even attending school. She was skipping a lot, okay? But school picture, that's what it was, school picture, okay? So then, if we go to this timeline, they say, During the call, defendant claimed he had spoken to the victim last on February 13th or 14th, 2024. David's like, I don't know what's going on. I spoke. Yeah, that's the last time I talked. But stated he was unaware that she was a minor or that she had been reported missing. Police advised him that Los Angeles Sheriff's Department deputies would be coming to his home. On that day, defendant was living at 804 North Duhaney Place in West Hollywood. Okay, now let's switch over. Little doo-doo-doo, here it is. Okay. The RCSD requested that the LASD conduct a welfare check at defendant's home. LASD deputies went to defendant's home that night at 8:15 p.m. and informed him that the victim was a 13-year-old runaway. Defendant again claimed he was unaware she was a minor. He had only met the victim once in person in November 2023. So David distanced himself from the situation when he was interviewed. He even said, last time I ever talked to her was like, I only met her once, November 2023. But here on your previous statement, it says, during the call, the defendant claimed he had spoken to the victim last February 13th or 14th. So he had spoken to the victim, at least that's what he told police, February 13th or the 14th, but he only met the minor once, sometime November 2023, unless they kept contact via phone, text, or whatever. David was informed that she was a minor then, right? Like, he knew. You had police visiting you, going to your home, your property. Okay, let's keep going. You said, really? She did? I don't know, man. I feel like this whole circle might have known more. You know what I mean? Something. But that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. I don't know. I wasn't there. Although he claimed to be unaware of where the victim was at the time, she returned home 2 days later. Okay? Despite being informed by law enforcement the victim was only 13, defendant continued to pursue her. After the victim returned home in February of 2024, okay, her parents took her cell phone away. Defendant drove to Lake Elsinore and paid a junior high school student in the victim's class $1,000 to give the victim a cell phone defendant purchased so that they could stay in contact. Now, this is very interesting because if you go back to the teacher's statement, he knew who David was. He knew who David was, right? He knew what was going on with David. Throughout 2024, the victim spent a significant amount of time with defendant, including summer weekends at his home in the Hollywood Hills and traveling with him to Las Vegas, London, and Texas to meet his family. Now, this is where a lot of us get stuck because we don't know if they mean London, Texas, or London as in, Europe, or what is it? Let me think. So Las Vegas, London, and then comma, and Texas. Texas would be his home state where his family is at. I would assume Texas too, but then why would they write Texas again? Because London, okay, not that it's not, she had a passport. She could travel, okay? But guess what? Somebody's got to sign that. She met his family. Yes, Jenny G, she met his family, okay? Did. Yeah. So, but that's the thing. It's like we need to find out who and what. I know, right, Chant? It's like so confusing. We got a London. Don't we have a Paris, Texas too? That's right. You do need one to fly internationally. You don't need one, well, there's been changes recently with that. But don't forget, what they found in evidence. We're going to talk about that soon, okay? I think it's important to highlight this, okay? So she met his family. Text exchanges between the victim and the defendant contain references to sex, pregnancy, abortion, and the use of Plan B, emergency contraceptives. There is also explicit photographs documenting and corroborating their actual relationship. In November of 2024, defendant and the victim broke up. Although they continued to communicate, and text messages suggest that they also continue to have an actual relationship or relations. Okay, April 23rd, 2025 is likely the date of the victim's death and when all her cellular activity ceased. Okay. The night prior, April 22nd, 2025, defendant and the victim engage in a lengthy argument described in detail in their text messages. The messages reveal the victim's jealousy over defendant's relationship with other women, as defendant led her to believe that they had a future together. She became extremely upset and threatened to disclose damaging information about her relationship with defendant to end his career and destroy his life. Defendant's first studio album was due to be released on April 25th, 2025, which we know that, right? Because a lot of that has been documented through the Discord, the Reddits. We know all of this, right? It further goes. Yes, and remember the charges, the reasons all these states are being offered is to prove that David had continuous access to Celeste. What exactly happened in each place may not matter, says First Liberties. Thank you. Further goes, guys. It further goes. He had an emerging multi-million-dollar career already in progress. He also had multiple product endorsements, which were highly profitable. Now, here's the question that I have. If you look at the timeline, we're saying that they met. When did they meet? She was what? At least the first time. She was 11 in 2022. David hadn't really gone. When did David go viral? Was it after he had met her? Pretty sure it was after he had met her that he went viral, right? I could be wrong, but I think timeline goes that way because he did the Fortnite song and then all of that. I think the Fortnite song was sometime in 2023, 2024. Put a one in the chat if that's correct. I could be wrong though, timeline wise. I think, yeah, he met Celeste in 2022. Then he goes viral with the Fortnite song. Okay, because that's really what made his career when Fortnite started using his music and whatnot. Okay. Yes. Okay. Y'all are saying yes. Okay. Thank you. It further goes. Here we go. At approximately 8:40 p.m. All right. Now I give you the biggest trigger warning. If you have not heard this, you don't want to hear this part. This is very, very graphic. I give you guys the biggest trigger warning because this is like difficult to even. Literally, the harm that was done to this child is horrible. At approximately 8:40 p.m. on April 23rd, 2025, defendant sent an Uber to transport the victim from Lake Elsinore home to his residence. Okay, so she was at her house. They communicated before and during her Uber ride, which dropped her off at defendant's Hollywood Hills home around 10:10 p.m. At approximately 10:30 p.m., defendant sent text messages to the victim inquiring where she was. The defendant was texting Celeste, "Hey, where are you at? Where are you?" Okay. He wanted to make sure that that she came over to the house. Okay. This is the lying in wait. Okay. This is all right there. Okay. Defendant sent text messages to the victim inquiring where she was. The people contend this was part of defendant's premeditated plan to cover up the murder, as she was already dead by this time. So when did she arrive at the house? How soon did he kill her? She was already dead at this time. So if she left at 8:40, okay, and then he sends an Uber to pick her up. They communicate before and during the Uber ride, which dropped her off at defendant's Hollywood Hills home around 10 p.m. Okay. Yeah, so he killed her pretty quickly after that, like after she got to his house. At approximately 10:30, defendant sent text messages to the victim inquiring where she was. Yeah, she unalived her as soon as she got there. I'll check my email, Angie, here in a minute. Give me 1 second. That's what it sounds like immediately. That's right, 20 minutes from her getting there. Okay. Defendant sent text messages to the victim inquiring where she was. The people contend this was part of defendant's premeditated plan to cover up the murder, as she was already dead by this time. She was already gone. So the state is saying she died within 20 minutes. She was already gone by 10:30. She arrives at 10:10. She was already gone by 10:30. So like 20 some odd minutes, that's all it took for her to die. That's what they're saying. And the only reason why I'm reflecting this timeline is because this is the stuff that is going to be argued, looked into. Like, what do you mean she died in 20 minutes? You're saying she bled out? She bled out in 20 minutes? She just died? How do they know? Mariah, there you go. I wasn't there. The defense wasn't there. We don't know. We don't know. Now, here's the question that I have. If she had drugs in her system or did not, right? Because that's been a dispute. Some people say she doesn't. Some people say she doesn't. We read that report, right? Flojo says, exactly, this is why I dispute the drugging, okay? Some people say she was drugged, so it was easy for him to kill her. But how could that be if she died within the 20 minutes that she arrived? Yes, and especially with internal bleeding, slowly. Thank you. Y'all are catching. See what I'm saying? It's like, huh? Okay, but again, this is what they are saying. So this is what the state is saying. This is what they're gonna have to prove, right? Ultimately, aggravating circumstances. You're right. All right, let's keep going. Defendant sent text messages to the defendant. Okay, that's what they said. The people contend that he did this premeditated plan. We read this. She was already dead by that time. Knowing he had to silence the victim before she ruined his music career, as she had threatened very soon after her arrival at his home, defendant stabbed the victim to death multiple times and stood by while she bled out. It took her 20 minutes to bleed out. Okay. How long she lived after she entered the home isn't so important as long as David had sufficient time to commit the fatal act. There you go. Brutal attack. Okay. Okay, let's keep going. Knowing that he had to, okay, we read that part, hold up. Very soon after her arrival at the home, defendant stabbed the victim to death multiple times while she bled out. At no time did he call law enforcement or 911 or take her to an emergency room to attempt to save her life. Okay, so there was no life-saving measures. He knew what he was doing. He was dead set. Okay. Despite knowing that she was dead and her family was trying to find her, the evidence will show defendant lied, claimed he didn't know where she was. In fact, defendant drove to Santa Barbara County immediately after the victim died, attempting to dispose her property and destroy evidence. Where did they find the ID in Santa Barbara County? Or the traveling document, I think. Okay. At approximately 11:30 p.m. on April 23, 2025, he drove away from his home as he texted and called the victim's phone, asking where she was. Again, these were acts calculated and planned to set up his defense within a very short timeline after the victim's vicious murder. Defendant drove his Tesla north on 101 freeway to San Marcos Pass Road near SR 154. near Santa Barbara County, the lake. He returned home early the following morning on April 24, 2025, before going to the radio interview for the release of his album. That week, he sent 2 additional texts to the victim's phone that day, which obviously went unanswered because she was already dead. After April 26, 2025, defendant never attempted to contact her again. The date, this date right here, April 24th, 2025. What interview did David do on that day? I don't know if this is the same one, but I do wonder. I'm not saying that it's the same one. It could very well be not this interview. It could be something else. And I think it might be. There was an interview that David did, but it could have been on the 28th or uploaded on the 28th, right? Or it could have been on the 24th and then uploaded on the 28th. And I posted this on my community wall. I said, damn, this is just crazy work. I don't think it's just the same one. But this was uploaded April 28th, 2025. David Talks album, Wither, Feel It, and the Success of Romantic Homicide. Is this the same one, or is this a different one? Or was it did he do it on the 24th and then it was uploaded on the 28th? Something to keep in mind. Kind of like nothing happened. Nothing happened, man. Just, going about my business, going to do some interviews. That's what he's going to do. Interesting, Flo Joe. You said yes. This one was a few days after his birthday, maybe before April 11th. The radio interview was on the 24th. When did it premiere? Was it released? Otra entrevista, al parecer, es solo por radio, sin videos. Entonces hice una entrevista en video, en radio, no video. Posiblemente. Quisiera ver cómo fue esa entrevista. I'd like to see that interview, honestly. Which radio? We need to find out. Ooh, let me put this on my list. We need to find out. Maybe it's already on Reddit. Okay, let's keep going. After April 26, 2025, defendant never attempted to contact her again. Tellingly, defendant subsequently purchased tools to carry out his plot to dismember and dispose of victim's body. On April 24, 2025, defendant ordered a shovel from Home Depot that was delivered to his home from Postmates. On May 1st, 2025, defendant ordered and subsequently Amazon delivered 2 chainsaws to his home. Let me tell you something. Side note, Amazon, if anybody's ordering a cadaver bag, chainsaws, and it's coming to the same address, there should be like an automatic flag. You know what I mean? Like the Amazon should be flagged. Something like, maybe we don't want to deliver chainsaws and body bags to this address, or surgical gloves, or cutting tools. Hello, Amazon, wake the F up. Like, what are we doing? If my neighbor's ordering body bags and he is not the director or doesn't work at any kind of, what's it called, facility, no, it should be flagged. It's no different if I start ordering, materials to make devices that I shouldn't be making. I mean, you'll get the feds in my house, and it's get on the floor. Like, come on now. Anyways, there should be flags for this. Yes, you can just order body bags. But I'm like, why? Why does Amazon allow that? Or any of this shit? Like, come on now. Anyways, moving on. I know, right? Prime Schmurder kit. Thank you. Girl. Anyways. So he orders. On May 1st, 2025, defendant ordered and subsequently Amazon delivered, damn Amazon deliveries, 2 chainsaws to his home. On May 5th, defendant ordered and Amazon delivered a body bag, heavy-duty laundry bags, and blue inflatable pool to his home. A blue inflatable pool to his home. He knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. A blue inflatable pool. Now, here's my question: if you have a chainsaw and you got this body in an inflatable pool, how the hell do you not cut through the pool too? Like, that's what I want to know. Like, let me stop. This is just insane work because some of us don't think this way. What the hell? He made these purchases under a fake name, Victoria Mendez, which we just saw those pictures there. Okay. On May 8, 2025, defendant returned to the same area in Santa Barbara County, leaving his home around 11:30 p.m. He returned to the area again on May 31st, 2025. This is an isolated site off of SR-154. So this is like an isolated area, right? People don't go to this area for whatever reason, I guess. I don't know. People drive there. Did we decide, and I know the Reddit was on this, when there was these like pictures that he was taking of this area in Santa Barbara, have we decided whether this could have been the area where he was trying to, leave a remains? If you guys remember those pictures that he was taking at one point, there was like pictures of rocks and stuff like that. Okay, let's keep going. Leaving his home around 11:30, he then returned. Okay, wait. So on May 8th, 2025, defendant returned to the same area in Santa Barbara County, leaving his home around 11:30 p.m. He returned to the area again May 31st, 2025. This is an isolated offsite SR-154, where the victim's identification was subsequently discovered in January of 2026. So they found the evidence of him trying to discard her ID, stuff like that. It was found January 2026. Okay. Additionally, on July 7, 2025, defendant ordered and subsequently Amazon delivered a burn cage. Okay, Amazon, you got a Victoria Mendez ordering chainsaws, cadaver bags, trash bags, inflatable pools, and a burn cage. And you're just allowing this person to order this. And I do have to wonder, Amazon, did it ever occur to you that maybe you shouldn't be delivering to Victoria Mendez because she might be doing something at her house? Or Postmates? You can't make this shit up. I'm like, huh? Now it's a burn cage? Well, and that's a great question. How did he pay? Gift card? Because you can get one of them Amazon gift cards too. Like, why is Amazon allowing people to just order shit like this? Exactly. You flagged this. Yo, shout out to the people in the chat. I think we're the only ones that got common sense in this. Anyways, Amazon's like, Prime delivery. Shit, what? Moving on. A burn cage to his home under the same fake names as part of his plan to incinerate evidence. Okay. Moreover, defendant took horrifying measures to destroy and discard the victim's body after placing her body into the blue inflatable pool to prevent her blood from spilling onto his garage floor. Defendant used a chainsaw and perhaps other tools to cut her limbs off. Blue tarp plastic fragments were found embedded into the victim's remains. We discovered that when we read the report, right? The ME's report. The fragments were analyzed by the LAPD's Forensic Science Division Trace Analysis Unit, as experts was able to make a physical fit match from the blue fragments to the blue inflatable pool purchased by defendant in May 2025. In order to distance himself from the victim, he amputated her left ring and pinky fingers. Her left ring and pinky fingers, because her ring finger contained a tattoo of his name. Her fingers have not been recovered. What happened to her fingers? Oh, it's crazy work, man. Defendant then placed her head and torso into the cadaver bag he purchased. He placed her limbs into a garbage bag, which he which he deposited into his front trunk, laying the cadaver bag on top. For several weeks or possibly months, defendant left the victim's body to decompose inside his Tesla. So the way that the state writes this, guys, it's almost like he never actually moved the body out of the Tesla. Look, they don't say that he took the body out. They don't say that he put the body in the refrigerator. I don't think this body was ever refrigerated, guys. I know it's been sent out there, but don't you think that that would have been something that they would have noted there in their report? He never moved her out of the car. He left her in the car. You know what? That's what Bruce Rivers said for Liberties, that Blair's going to be like, bye, bitches. She's out. She's not defending at some point. Hear me out on this. I don't think he ever moved her. I think he left her there. I think we see waterlogged because of the natural process that happens to the body. Because if I remember reading some of this yesterday, they never said that she was moved. Now, the way this is written, it's kind of given that. It says, for several weeks or possibly months, defendant left the victim's body to decompose inside his Tesla. It doesn't imply that she was moved. So you mean to tell me, here's the question. Remember that smell that somebody reported in that video? Oh, it smells in here, yada, yada, yada. So was she in there? If you're going by this timeline, at some point he put her in the car. Something was smelling in the home, okay? Well, unless he parked the car nearby or something. And then, you mean to tell me that nobody went in this Tesla anymore besides David? It was just David the whole time? Did anybody drive the Tesla? I'm wondering about this. Okay, let's keep going. He lied to friends, business associates, and others who noticed a strong smell of decay in and around his home and vehicle. Before leaving on his concert at a tour, at the end of July, he parked his Tesla on the street around the corner from his home. Street around the corner when you have a whole garage. But, there's another car in there too. LAPD served a search warrant at the defendant's home. Okay, the address is there. September 17th, 2025, after the victim was identified by the Los Angeles County Medical Examiners on September 16, 2025. Inside the garage, detectives discovered evidence consistent with dismemberment of the victim's body. Look at this shit. Inside the garage, detectives discovered evidence consistent with the dismemberment of the victim's body in the inflatable pool. The inflatable pool was still there, which contained multiple linear cuts to the inflatable pool. Several biological samples, which tested positive for blood, were collected within the garage area. DNA analysis determined that various samples matched the victim's unique genetic profile. So he still had the pool in the property. I bet you this is the piece of evidence that they took, right? Like, they didn't leave this pool there. That's insane. Let's keep going. On September 9, 2025, the ME ruled the victim's death a homicide caused by 2 penetrating injuries to the torso. On January 17, 2025, the victim's U.S. passport was found by a Caltrans worker off the SR-154 in Santa Barbara County. She was a runaway who had a U.S. passport. You don't need one. Well, to travel state to state, you need your ID and stuff like that, unless there's been changes. But to leave the country, you do need a passport. Ask the question. I don't know. I haven't seen him. James. I'll have to check in the Discord. Thank you. I haven't seen him today. He's usually here too. I'll have to message him or something. You said evidence. That's the good part. Ooh. Well, who signed for her to have one? Well, but again, her family's from El Salvador. Maybe they went to El Salvador and she had one, guys. Because guess what? Like I said, some kids have it. Like Tracy said, my 7-year-old has one. He travels all the time. And then sometimes, depending on where you go, you don't need it. Sometimes you don't even need one because you just need it. Like, well, now you do. But back then, your parents would need to write a letter to the, to TSA and stuff like that. So this is insane. Okay, let's keep going. The people will present, they say, the following evidence. I think this is kind of where I stopped because I had to do other stuff at the preliminary hearing, including but not limited to the description of the photographs depicting the victim unclothed, as well as while she was engaged with the defendant in sexual activity when she was 13 years old. Yeah. She was just El Salvador, is what I'm saying. Yeah, she's allowed to have a passport. You're supposed to if you're going anywhere there. So that's what I'm saying. It's like she probably had one. But if somebody's missing or they're labeled a runaway, does one system not report to the other? I guess I don't know. I wonder about that. As this evidence constitutes CSAM, the photographs will not be presented. Okay. While all possible charges that could be proven were not filed, the CSAM is, while all possible charges that could be proven were not filed, the CSAM is proof of their ongoing sexual relationship while the victim was 13 and 14 years old. Numerous text messages between defendant and the victim evidencing their sexual relationship, pregnancy. Hold up. Let me stop right here. Because in the first paragraph, they didn't say anything about pregnancy. They said about abortion and Plan B. Did they ever say pregnancy in the first paragraph? Maybe they did. Listen, I'm unmedicated. Sometimes I'd be seeing stuff. How many times is... Okay, yes, they did. Sorry. All right. My mind. I might need more coffee. You read that right. Yes. But it was mentioned twice. They did. Okay. Let me take another drink. You're like, get your coffee, Rabbit. Get your coffee. All right. Let's keep going. Abortion and the use of Plan B emergency contraception. Messages through March 2025 prove defendant continued to manipulate the victim as she messaged, all we do is have S and just hang out. Man, I want more than that for myself. Oh, I stopped reading here. I had not read this. Messages through March 2025 prove defendant continued to manipulate the victim as she messaged, all we do is have S and just hang out. Man, I want more than just that for myself. These messages were obtained from defendant's iCloud data. Oh my gosh. Defendant's cellular activity and communication derived from defendant's iPhone and Tesla, which demonstrate defendant's activities from March 22nd, 2025 through April 24th, 2025, including a trip to Santa Barbara in the middle of the night after the victim arrived in his Hollywood Hills home. This is so sad. Surveillance video of defendants driving his Tesla on July 29, 2025 for the last time before parking the vehicle and leaving on tour at the end of July. DNA evidence developed from bloodstains collected from defendant's garage, which matched the victim's genetic profile. Proof of defendant's Amazon purchases and deliveries to his residence, including 2 chainsaws, a body bag, an inflatable pool, heavy-duty laundry bag, and a burn cage after April 24th, 2025. Proof of defendant's purchase and deliveries from Postmates of a shovel from Home Depot to his home on April 24, 2025. Uber records showing defendant's transactions where he ordered an Uber to pick up the victim from Lake Elsinore, from her Lake Elsinore home, and transported her to his residence the night of April 23, 2025. Proof of defendant's lucrative career as a singer and songwriter. Prior to April 23, 2025, defendant had an album release party on the night of April 24, 2025, before embarking on an international tour in late July 2025. Text message exchange between defendant and the victim on April 22nd and April 23rd, 2025, where the victim threatened to expose defendant and destroy his career. Conclusion. This brief is filed to assist the court in understanding the scope and relevance of evidence the prosecution intends to present at the preliminary hearing. The defense has multiple opportunities to request a continuance, but has not done so. Furthermore, California Penal Code 1050 requires the defense to provide at least 2 court date notice to request a continuance. In view of the limited scope of evidence to be presented at the preliminary hearing detailed in this brief, there should be no substantial impediment to moving forward with the hearing as scheduled. Okay. This is dated April 29th, which was yesterday. Now, what is this? This is proof of service. Okay. Oh. Well, damn. Thoughts, opinions? You know what, Belen? That could very well be the case too. You never know. This is shit, man. Now let me go to the emails because y'all been hitting me up on the email. Hold up. What is? Oh, thank you, Flojo. I did read that. Thank you. What is this? Oh shit. Is this it? What date did this premiere? May 5th. Today's guest is a genre. Oh, is this the interview? Hold up. Let me show you guys what I'm looking at. Flojo's always finding stuff. He's like a super sleuth. From Fortnite to 5X Platinum, the bedroom pop revolution. Okay. Today's guest, but this was uploaded premiered May 5th. It could very well be he did this interview in April.
In the next 5 years, I was like full on with YouTube. Like, yo, I'm making money.
By then, this crime had already been committed, y'all. Like, he's sitting here like it's nothing, Big Muffin, literally.
I mean, it's so hard to explain when you're like you said, it's a writing podcast, and you know.
Wow, I just like he goes in here disrupting the industry.
And know what I'm looking for is like the best feeling because they've kind of given me the groundwork for the song already.
Yeah. Well, dude, thank you so much for doing this. I mean, this is your first time on this podcast, and
The Writer, and it's called the podcast is called And the Writer Is. It's a channel with 68.1K. Wow. Some of these people, I wonder like what their thoughts are now. Can you imagine you interview somebody who you're like interviewing for, Hollywood, whatever promotion, and then they turn out to like be facing murder charges? Like that's just some crazy ass ish. Hold up. Cat's Eye with his cool arcade basement.
Chat can follow.
Yeah, how does how?
You guys are gonna see. You guys are gonna see.
What are you talking about? The way that person joined the game only to comment that.
I know. And it was literally live.
It was a lie.
Welcome to my arcade! So we got some arcade games.
Oh my god!
And this is the camera.
Yeah.
That's the garage. That's the garage. That's the garage. Just so for those that are like, what the hell? Thank you. Shout out to you. All right. Congratulations. That's so painful. It's painful is what I heard. I remember my dad got kidney stones, and I ain't never seen a grown man cry till I saw my dad having kidney stones. Shout out to you. Now, something's got to change so you don't get no more kidney stones. But unless you get them because you know, for whatever reason. Yeah, but my dad had them and they're horrible. I remember as a kid, he cried so much. Judging by how his parents have him dressed. Well, hold up. Let's go ahead and.
Yeah. Chat, what we think?
Wait, so where's the chat? Right here? Oh, here.
Basically, it was on my phone. You can see it on the phone.
Wait, shut up. Another camera up there.
Yeah.
Yo!
It's lit.
Wait, oh, that's so cool. Thank you so much. This is awesome.
All right, so basically, let me.
Okay, Flojo, do we know the date of that video? When they were in the garage, and was this before or after?
Okay, Dance Revolution. No mission? Wait, the chat can follow? Yeah, how does...
Technically, yeah.
How?
You guys are gonna see. You guys are gonna see.
What are you talking about? The way that person joined the game only to comment that?
I know. And it was literally a lie.
It was a lie.
Welcome to my arcade. So we got the arcade game.
Oh my god!
And this is the
Dance
camera.
Revolution.
Yup. Chat, what we think?
Wait, so where's the chat? Right here? Oh, here.
Basically, it was on my phone. You can see it on the phone.
Wait, shut up. Another camera up there.
Yup.
Yo!
It's lit.
Wait, oh, that's so cool. Thank you so much. This is awesome.
All right, so basically, let me power this.
Okay, Dance Revolution.
No date?
No mission? Wait, the chat can follow? Yeah, how does...
Technically, yeah.
How?
You guys.
Wow. Okay. Well, that is just like crazy work to see all that. I'm sorry, it's just crazy. It really is crazy to see all that. That being said, though, I mean, and I'm looking at the Reddits too. Hold up, y'all. See if anything had been posted here. I mean, of course, all of this, you know, we've reviewed the garage. We've seen. See if you guys, hold up. Let me get this going. We've seen pictures of the garage. This is what the garage looked like. Everybody's talking about, you know, TMC posted that her DC changed and now says she's pregnant. Wait, cause of death? What? Hold up. Oh, shit. Hold up. Oh, my God. Hold up, guys. Look. What? Hold up. Okay, her family info's there. Hold up. Homicide pending investigation. Wait, where does it say that she's pregnant? What? I don't see it. Let me see this real quick. Unknown. This is too, okay. No, it says decedent pregnant. No. Why did they say that she was pregnant? What? Decedent pregnant? No. It says deferred. Immediate cause deferred. No way. I don't see where they say that. Hold up. Let me just double check. TMZ posted that her DC was changed and now says pregnant is unknown. That's what they're saying. But it doesn't say that, though. It just says no. Decedent pregnant. No. It doesn't say unknown unless they changed it. Hold up. Let me check something. That would be crazy work. Oh, my God. Crazy. Okay, there's an interview with Celeste where an interview where David details a Celeste trip. Now, Celeste Rivas, okay, here it is. 3 hours ago. I'm telling you. D4VD murder case, unknown if Celeste was pregnant. Death certificate updated. Unknown? Okay, so they're saying that the death certificate was updated. I don't see that. It just says no. TMC obtained Celeste Rivas' new death certificate, and it no longer says she was not pregnant. Now the section is marked as U for unknown. Where is the new? What they put up there is not new. Hold up. That's crazy. Let me see. Okay, the question is decedent pregnant in last year? It says no. Okay. But where does it say unknown? I don't see it where they say this. It says unknown, apparently. You're going to have to tell me what box number. Click on the death certificate in the red. Okay. You said in the red? Because this is one of two. Do you know the box number? Because it all goes by numbers. Hold up. If you go up, multiple injuries, unknown. Okay, wait. This is where the unknown is at. So these are the numbers. 121 unknown, 122 unknown, unspecified. Hold up. And then when it's asked, the question is, decedent pregnant in last year? That's the question. No. They have codes. I think it's in a code. One of the coding numbers right here, guys. It has to be one of these numbers right here. Then. It can't be one of the boxes. Hold up. Let me look at the chat. Yeah, the photo they shared this, but it could be a coding, right? Because that's where the unknowns are at. Yeah, let me go to the article. I know I jumped. My bad, guys. So this is what they said. This was 2 hours ago. There's some important updates in the Celeste Rivas death certificate. The document now reflects the fact that the LA County Medical Examiner says that she was murdered, and it's unknown if she'd been pregnant in the year before she was killed. TMZ obtained the new death certificate. Now the section is, okay, it's by section, is marked U. So it's the written codes. There's a code in there. The new certificates say the cause of death has been corrected from deferred to multiple penetrating injuries, and matter of death is updated as pending investigation to homicide. Okay. The document also corrected to say that the injury date, hour, place, and location are unknown, and the section stating describe how injuries occurred events which resulted in injuries now says with objects. D4VD is charged. Okay, we know this. Celeste's death certificate was first released back in September. It was. There was a lot of missing information because the investigation was at its infant age. So this we already know. Okay, so it has to be the codes. That's what I could think. All right, hold up. I want to show you guys. This was released. David describes alleged murder.
Use our online editor to complete W-9 forms. Fast filling.
I used to do a lot of different projects with different producers, and I went through maybe 5 or 6 different versions of this album. But the most recent version, the one that I'm very happy with, the one that we're going to put out, I made in a total of 4 weeks. So I went to London for 2 weeks with 3 of my friends, and we just made a song every day for 2 weeks in London. I love London because of like the gloomy aesthetic and the gloomy just like vibe and environment that London has. Like there's barely any sun there, and I love that because the music I make is really sad. And then so 2 weeks I made a song every day, came out with half the album, and then I went back to Houston for another 2 weeks, and I made the rest of the project on my phone just off of beats that people sent me and with some things that I make. And I just spent 2 weeks in a different area trying to get myself in a different mindset. And then I came back to Houston, put myself in the same mindset again, and made everything by myself. So I wanted to see what I looked like, or how I worked with different people and how I worked with myself, you know?
Wow. Well, there you go. Damn. That's just crazy work. I am like, wow. I don't know. There you go. Yeah, Kim, it's a code that they updated. It's not the box. So it's in the code. I just clicked the red. Federal charges come in Zoom all the way to London. Well, unless somebody signed up for her to go to London, what would be unless the parents said, yeah, you can go to London. Or unless she was able to get around. How do you go? How does a missing child have a passport? But then again, it's like she's from El Salvador, so she's traveled before, right? Like she's allowed to go outside of the country. But how do you go outside of the country and it, like, anyways, you said 13A. Okay, hold up. Shout out to Kim who's trying to give us the code here. See, it's 12, 7, 8, 13, 14, 15, 18 student. 8, she was in middle school. Shit, man. I'm looking at the codes, guys. Give me 1 second. Education, 8th. Okay, I must be blind because I don't see it. Let me go to the next page. Here it is. Okay, codes there. Los Angeles is 13. You said 13A, Kim. It's not up here. I don't see it. I went to the codes. 13A. Even this one is 113A and U. Anyways, I don't see it. I'm going and I'm seeing nothing. I could be blind though. Huh. You said 113, not 13. So it's 113, not 13A. This one, the code was 113. Gotcha. So it's a written code, right? Yeah, I just said it. It's this one right here. 13A. Oh, excuse me. 113A. So 113A. That's what it is. Not 13A. Gotcha. I'm like, y'all can see it. I can't see it. There's a U. Gotcha. Thank you, Kim. Which means undetermined. They don't know if she was pregnant when she died or can't determine that. Yeah, she could have traveled to El Salvador, but if she was reported missing or on runaway, she couldn't have been, unless they don't report to the federal government, we got a runaway. I don't know. How does she leave the country? That's the question. With the risk of so many like trafficking victims and stuff like that. And now you got an interview where he's talking about, well, I went to London and with 3 of my friends and, we were writing songs and yada, yada, yada. This case is just horrible. Like, it's just like, for the longest time, we didn't know anything. Now it's like, oh my God, I'm like surprised. That's crazy work. Really, truly is. It gets worse. It really does get worse. You said, I bet a bunch of those 54 warrants will be of interest to the FBI. This case is getting bigger than just David at first glance. 54 warrants. I'm sure the FBI is on it. They don't tell us. They say nothing to us. They say nothing to us, right? Thank you. You said the code is on a California death certificate. Item 113A is a specific question used for demographic and health reporting. If female pregnant in last year. She could have been pregnant in last year. You think there's more victims? Sadly, I wouldn't surprise. It sounds like there's other people, other young girls. Oh my God. Anyways, you guys, let me shout out some people because I do have to stop. I gotta, it's the middle child's birthday. Happy birthday to the middle child. Shout out to the middle child who's like, it's his day today, so I got to pick him up from school and do all kinds of things. Shout out to everybody. SJ, thank you so much for the super sticker. Thank you. Donna, thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate it. Red Riding Hood, thank you for for becoming a member. Shout out to you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Happy birthday to the middle baby bunny. Well, he's not a baby, but he's always gonna be my baby. He kind of goes. He's the middle child, but he goes in between like, I want to be a baby to like, I want to be grown up mom. He kind of goes. He's still my baby guy. That's what I call him. He's my baby guy. All we know is she didn't give birth to a baby, but of course she could have been pregnant at any point, right, Kelly J? This is true. Thank you, guys. All right, guys, you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. I got to go tend to family. Hit the like button. Hi, please, and thank you. Let me know your thoughts. I mean, I really appreciate everybody that's supporting today. I appreciate going through this stuff with you guys because y'all be like calling me out on things that I don't notice or I need to notice or I need to read. And I really appreciate that. And we see each other and I love it. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys. Bye.